students open to discrimination based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, among other characteristics. These universities essentially have a license to discriminate, and students have absolutely no recourse. The students across the country and in California have reported finding out about the exemption only after being expelled from school. Universities that receive exemptions do not have to disclose their status to students or staff. Only in recent weeks has the U.S. Department of Education disclosed the names of schools with Title IX exemptions. Recently, at a university in our state, a student took a leave of absence. During his time away, came out. When he tried to return to school, the university did not want to readmit him. Transgender students also report being expelled as a result of the revealing their gender identity. This bill would also require universities who are granted the Title IX exemption to disclose that information to the California Student Aid Commission, students, and staff. That disclosure will ensure that students applying to the university will know and understand in advance the policies the school has adopted. The bill will allow the student that has encountered discrimination also to pursue a remedy through civil action, just like their peers can at any other university in California, members. To be clear, this bill does not prohibit schools from adopting policies that reflect the religious nature of the institution. This bill simply requires that all students be treated equally under the law. I understand that schools may adopt policies such as abstinence requirements, require chapel attendance, or adhere to religious guidelines that are fundamental to their mission. I completely and wholeheartedly respect those religious freedoms, and under this bill, the schools can continue to have such policies. But those standards must be applied equally. For example, if a school adopts a chastity requirement and expels or disciplines all students equally without prejudice, that is not a violation of the policy, and that is not discrimination. I want to be clear that such policy would not be prohibited under my bill. But if a school adopted such a policy but enforced it unequally on the basis of race, gender, sexuality, that could be discrimination, and it could be left to a court to decide. California has established strong protections for the LGBTQ community, and private universities should not be able to use faith as an excuse to discriminate and avoid and complying with state laws. Thank you, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Your first witness in support, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Villarreal. I am 25 years old and have yet to receive my bachelor degree. Have you finished school yet? I frequently hear this question and read it. 3 years later, I am still trying to catch up to all my high school classmates whom now have their degrees and have begun their careers. Today, I am stuck having to work 3 jobs, barely making ends meet between student loans, the cost of living, and paying for a community college education. And I'm in this situation because of who I love. I used 3 years as a benchmark when I was found out at my Christian university. After being found out, I was kicked out, denied of my future with an education in journalism, belief in God, and success, which all go hand in hand for me. I was betrayed. I had confusion in my brain and my heart. I suddenly could not be gay, love freely, learn about God, and have a discriminatory-free education. My future was suppressed. Do you enjoy attending William Jessup University? Yes, I answered to the Dean of Students, while in my senior year, reading a contract in front of me which stated I must seek a counselor to avoid further disciplinary measures. The athletic director then said, maybe you should take a break from being gay. This discriminatory, uneducated suggestion made me quiver, as if he could take a break from being straight just to live a gay life that wasn't possible. The next question intimidated me. Would you like to continue your education here? The dean asked. Minutes later, after being interrogated and intimidated by the dean of students, my coach, and the athletic director, I signed a contract to which I appealed multiple times. Weeks after that, September 9, 2013, I was expelled. It is my prayer that you learn and grow as much from this experience as possible, read the letter. I was asked not to attend school functions or events and immediately escorted off campus. My lawyer said I had no recourse for a suit against the school because they hold a Title IX exemption. Today, I feel judged. I feel lost. I feel questioned. I feel discriminated against, and I am in debt to the Department of Education for an education I was not allowed to finish. WJU and its serving administrators have stripped my freedom and dignity from me. Today, my former network of WJU friends is no more. I am afraid of being judged just as I was at WJU, living with fear, being discriminated against at a Christian university, where I would have hoped to be accepted, loved, and educated, has drastically impacted my life. I am here to stop discrimination. I am here to stand with all the LGBT students who are living in fear at school. I am here in support of SB 1146. As a religious, Christ-loving, openly gay man, I believe I should have the legal right to a discriminatory-free education, legal recourse, and equal freedoms as any other student. I urge you to support SB 1146. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Your next witness, please.
Good morning. My name is Rick Sabur, and I'm the Executive Director of Equality California, the nation's largest statewide lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender civil rights organization. We are the sponsors of SB 1146 and have worked since our organization's inception in 2000 to pass dozens of bills ensuring the highest degree of non-discrimination protection for LGBT Californians possible. Let me start by thanking the committee and Senator Lada for grappling with the issues raised by this bill and working so hard to craft a policy that strives to ensure that invidious discrimination does not impact LGBT students at colleges and universities that benefit from our taxpayer-funded state programs. At least 7 private colleges and universities in California currently claim exemptions from state and federal laws that bar discrimination against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. These campuses do not have to disclose that they discriminate, and students expelled or employees fired as a result of these policies have no legal recourse. This is the situation that has recently come to light in a compelling report by the Human Rights Campaign looking at this trend nationwide, and one that Senator Lada's bill is seeking to address. The students and employees impacted by this conduct face having their lives destroyed, their education derailed, their hopes and dreams dashed, their hard work squandered, their livelihoods threatened. SB 1146 makes it clear that our existing state non-discrimination laws should apply in these higher education settings, and that schools should be required to disclose their actions to seek exemptions and the nature of the reasons for seeking those exemptions. We believe the activities of multiple schools in California and the story you heard today underscore the need for this bill, and we urge the committee's support.
Thank you. Anyone else in support? If you could come forward and just give us your name.
Good afternoon, Erica Romero on behalf of the Association of Independent California Colleges and Universities. We've been in support, if amended, working with the Senator's office. We represent the not-for-profit institutions. The last version of the bill we were working on had protections for the religious functions of the universities. We are still digesting this version of the bill that moves it into the government code. We do believe there will be significant unintended consequences that we will address with the Senator's office. We do want to thank the Senator and his staff. They have been working diligently with us to ensure that we are striking a balance between the religious freedoms and the ability of faith-based institutions to operate in California, the right of students to maintain financial aid, and protections for students, all students. And so we look forward to continuing that work. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in support of the bill would like to give us your name, your affiliation? Seeing none, anybody not quite opposed but still working on issues? Seeing none, we'll take opposition then. If you could clear the table and let folks come forward. I'll take 3 speakers, please.
Good afternoon, Becca Kramer on behalf of the ACLU of California. While we support the intent of the bill and really appreciate the author and his offices working with us on this bill, unfortunately, as it has been amended, we do oppose, and because our letter was so late, we're providing a copy of the letter for you. Like I said earlier, we do appreciate the intent. Unfortunately, we think that the amendments as in print now have many unintended consequences that actually undermine the intent of the bill and would cause harm to LGBT students. For example, the provision C in section 3 would allow the school to make a claim that it is an expellable offense because it would go against their moral code for any student to engage in a same-sex relationship. That would be permissible under the language as currently in print, and obviously it would mean that students like Anthony would have no recourse then. This bill would not actually apply to their situation and would instead enshrine in California code the ability of these schools to kick out our LGBT students. Additionally, I'm sorry, and that was the incorrect one. It was under B3. But we do have issues with C. It extends the ministerial exemption that is currently understood from students attending seminaries and other schools to prepare them for religious leadership positions to actual institutions, and would have repercussions that would allow, for example, the janitors at colleges to be fired for being gay. And so additionally, Section D has problems as well. As currently drafted, it would, for example, allow a school to ban any LGBT club from meeting on campus. We do include in our letter suggested remedies for these, which would allow our organization and NCLR, who is not able to be here today, to move from opposition to a position of support, because we do appreciate and support the intention of the bill, but as drafted, we have some grave concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, I want to thank you for the privilege of being able to testify here today. My name is John Jackson. I'm the president of William Jessup University, located here in the Sacramento region in the city of Rockland. We also have a branch campus in San Jose. California has always been a place for people to pursue their dreams. Whether you were born here or come from the other side of the world, the promises of California have always been limitless. We've always been free to chart our own course, to pursue our own passion in light of heartfelt convictions. In a state as diverse as California, there are an endless variety of thoughts, ideas, and ways of life. The lifeblood of such a society is civil dialogue and respect for each other's differences. Free conversation in the marketplace of ideas fosters constructive relationships between neighbors and opens doors for greater understanding, even when disagreement remains. Part of the beauty of the American experience is the foundational recognition of inalienable rights, which do not derive from government, but derive from our Creator. Jessup and other faith-based schools have clear religious convictions regarding gender, sexuality, and marriage. Those convictions extend to all who attend our school and all who are employed by our school. SB 1146 marginalizes students and schools whose beliefs do not align with the views of those holding the levers of government power, creating a society that does not tolerate diversity of opinion and even punishing dissent from what politicians have determined are the, quote, correct beliefs. SB 1146 restricts freedom of choice and limits opportunities in education by forcing many first-generation college students and many students of color who would be unable to pursue higher education without a Cal Grant to choose between attending a school that they have chosen or another option that does not fit their unique needs. SB 1146 is a solution in search of a problem. The balancing of interests in the Equity in Higher Education Act as it now exists in state law has served the state well, as it respects the diverse viewpoints of private and public institutions. On behalf of the students who voluntarily attend Jessup and schools like ours, the mothers and fathers and family members who support our students, and on behalf of the churches and the communities that our students come from, we strongly urge you to vote no on SB 1146. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Mr. Chairman and members, my name is Jeffrey Berman. I represent...
Could you use the microphone, please?
My name is Jeffrey Berman. I'm a lawyer. I represent a number of the California's religious colleges and universities. The reason, or one of the reasons that we oppose the bill, and we only had a short time to review it and less time to review the analysis, is that the religious schools are being singled out for special treatment. In this case, it's not specially good treatment, it's specially bad treatment. For example, they are the only ones being required to give a Title IX disclosure, whereas other schools may have other exemptions from other statutes, state or federal, and they are not being required to disclose that they are taking those exemptions. When we read the bill last night and the analysis, it's not clear to us as to whether this is limited to students only. We think it is. We think it's the author's intent, and AICCU has been told that it's the author's intent that this is a student bill, and the committee analysis says the same thing. But there is a possibility by tucking this into 11135 that somebody could argue that it is also an employment bill, which it's not, and that needs to be clarified, and we're working with Senator Laura's staff to try and clarify that. There's also language exempting There's no language exempting the schools from the prohibition against religious discrimination, which would, for example, would allow them to choose co-religionists or to enforce their religious-based rules. Those were in prior versions of the bill, but they're not in the current version of the bill, and they need to be there. Otherwise, you couldn't, for example, have Catholic schools saying we're taking Catholic students only or giving preference to Catholic students. With regard to housing, restrooms, and married student housing, again, the religious schools are being singled out in violation of federal law. They are the only schools that are going to have special rules in the government code that relate to these very issues. The impact on athletics is not clear. You can't tell from 11135 whether that's going to also regulate what happens in the locker room and on the field and admission to teams. I know that some of the schools right now are working with the NC2A on these types of issues, trying to make sure that they don't become issues and we don't come back here again. But the direct stakeholders need to be involved in this, and it shouldn't be swept in by mistake under 11135. There's also a Cal Grants issue. Everybody has understood that this bill is not intended to impact the ability of students who get Cal Grants to choose the schools that they want to go to. And there was prior language carving out Cal Grants and making sure it's safe. And we're going to be working again with the Senator's staff to try and make sure that that's taken care of, because I don't think anybody wants to tell the student that you can't go to the school. You can't use the money that we're giving you to go to the school of your choice. When you look at the federal case law on this, you can only do take these kinds of actions with respect to religious institutions if there's a compelling state interest. And here, it's really anecdotal. We've got 6 schools or less that have taken the Title IX exemption, and some of those exemptions are decades old and have nothing to do with LGBT students at all. We've got a single letter directed to one of the schools relating to immigration, which the analysis says it was a mistake and that the letter was withdrawn. Tom, I'll show you that later on. And then there's also some unproved allegations like the one we heard today. So it's sort of trial by allegation.
Sorry, I'm going to need you to wrap up.
Okay. The lead targeting case, which is not addressed in the analysis, is the Lycumi Babala case, which says that you cannot target students. And we also don't think the Smith or the Bob Jones cases add anything, because there was no targeting in those cases, and they need to be harmonized with the Hosanna Tabor decision, allowing schools to, in all religious institutions, to determine who their members are, in this case the students, and to shape their own faith and mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we are done taking testimony. Those of you who'd like to weigh in on the bill, I'm assuming in opposition, if you could line up and give us your name, your affiliation, and that you're opposed, please.
John Girardi with California Family Council. We're the public policy representatives for the California Southern Baptist Convention and their 2,200 member churches in opposition.
Thank you.
Pastor Mike Rogers, Faith Baptist Tabernacle in North Highlands. Please vote no.
Elaine Brown, Fresno Pacific University alumni, 1990, opposed.
Janai Pero, Salt and Light Council, national organization to churches, and opposed.
Yolanda Canuck, Concerned Women for America, opposed because of effect on a First Amendment.
Thank you. We're not taking more testimony. Just tell us your name, your association, and that you're opposed.
Aspen Hall, William Jessup alumni, 2013. Please vote no.
Krista Campbell, Northern California Area Director for CWA, and we oppose this bill.
Mike Lester, Academic Dean at West Coast Baptist College, Lancaster, California. We oppose it.
Heather Cordell, Director of Development for Biola University, and I oppose.
My name is Nancy Rogers. I have a daughter who just finished her first year of school at Biola, and I oppose this bill.
My name is Kyle Davis, and I'm a parent of students at Biola University and William Jessup University, and I stand in strong opposition to this bill.
Dennis Seaton, Church State Council, opposed unless amended.
John Daggett, law firm of Hiroshima Daggett, representing an affected faith-based institution, in opposition.
Patrick Olson, representing my 3 sons, I strongly oppose.
My name is Roy Davies. I'm a supporting member of Pacific Union College in Angwin, and I absolutely oppose it.
Allison Sims from Bayside Church Marriage Coaching Ministry, which partners with Biola University. I oppose it.
Ciandra Kuklis, alumna and employee of William Jessup University, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Rebecca Bachter-Kirkin. I'm a recent graduate from Biola University and a current employee of William Jessup University, and I oppose this bill.
I'm Cynthia Avellino. I oppose this bill, and I support my daughter from Azusa Pacific University.
Rachel Ann Pobry, former student at Azusa Pacific University. I oppose this bill. Thank you.
Carolyn Weiss, my son will be attending Westmont in the fall, and I oppose this bill compassionately.
Jorge Fuentes, parent of a student at Biola University. I oppose this bill.
Hunter Seaman, Azusa Pacific University, and I oppose this bill.
Okay, where to? Let's see. Thank you. Matthew McReynolds, Senior Staff Attorney of Pacific Justice Institute, on behalf of the Transnational Association of Christian Colleges and Schools, as well as two other member colleges, Shasta Bible College and Epic Bible College, in strong opposition to the bill.
Priscilla Fuentes, freshman at Biola University, and I oppose.
Michelle Clark, faculty member at William Jessup University, and I oppose.
Joanne Stansberry, I'm the parent of two students attended and graduated from masters, as well as met their spouses who are graduates of William Jessup University. One who is a Placer County employee, another who's a federal government employee, and I am a continuing supporter of Masters College in Santa Clarita, California, and I oppose the bill.
Hi, Rhonda Silva. I'm a parent of a student attending Biola in the fall. I oppose this bill.
Hi, my name's Corey Kalinda. I'm a mother of a student that just graduated William Jessup, and I strongly oppose this.
Ellie Chappie, future college student and in opposition.
John Lewis Chappie, future college student in opposition.
Laura Chappie, mother of two students who are going to college, and I want them to be able to choose the school that fits their needs.
I'm Lori Douglas. I am blessed to have a daughter who graduated from Biola last year and now works on Capitol Hill in Washington. And I have a son that is a senior in management at Biola University, and I strongly oppose 1146.
Hello, I'm Isabel Harrison. I've had two daughters graduate from Biola University, a son who's returning to Westmont, another daughter at UCLA. I oppose this. Please keep higher education diverse.
Jonathan Keller, an alumni of Fresno Pacific University and the current CEO of California Family Alliance. Very grateful for Mr. Laura's heart. We just don't believe this bill goes the right direction. Thank you.
Wendell Wally, president of California Christian College. I oppose the bill.
Thank you.
Roberta Hestenes, teaching pastor at Bayside Church, friend of Jessup and Biola, and a former president of a Christian university. I strongly believe this is a misguided bill which should be opposed.
Anyone else in opposition? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the committee. Questions, comments? Mr. Alejo.
Just, I'm going to support this bill today, but I did have a question for the independent universities, and just had to do with the issue of Cal grants. And I don't know if they could answer, because I was concerned. I think they're trying to address certain issues, but it might lead to a situation where, because of required practices, they might be in violation of any agreement with the California Student Aid Commission, and does that then bar them from being able, their eligibility to qualify for Cal grants, which would, in effect, hurt the students, not necessarily the institution. So I wanted to see if somebody could address that.
So, if I may, this is why we worked with the committee to move the entire bill into the government code instead of in the educational equity code, so that we would remain silent on the Cal Grant issue and hopefully putting that to rest. But again, like I've said before, my intention is not to hurt the student and to ensure that they have access to Cal Grants. That might be something that the ACLU continues to oppose, but it's not my intent, and I know there's legislation out there to do that, and we'll have that discussion appropriately, but that is not my intent with this bill.
Thank you, Senator. And could
Erica Romero with the Association of Independent California Colleges did make the Senator's office aware there's a concern because there's no exemption in the government code that it's a technical issue with the institutional participation agreement that every faith-based college does discriminate on religion, and so there might be an issue signing the IPA. We do know this is not the Senator's intent, and we will work with the Senator's office.
Okay. But I hope as the bill moves forward, we could help clarify that, because that's a real concern. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Mr. Gallagher?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Senator, for, I know you've done a lot of work with all the stakeholders in this, and, I do have a few questions I kind of wanted to walk through and try and get some answers maybe from some of the different people who have been involved in this. Kind of my first one is, we kind of alluded to it earlier, by moving this to the government code, one issue there is that now there is going to be that there can't be any discrimination based on religion. Well, some of these, I would say all of these are based on a specific faith. And so, like in the area of employment, they're going to employ professors who share their same faith. They won't hire professors perhaps who are of a different faith or don't share the same theology, so that could be problematic. Is that something that you guys have dealt with, and could we speak to that issue?
We have, and again, I don't want to beat a dead horse on the issue. It is not my intent. Again, just to remind members that we did gut this entire bill, moved it in the last couple of days with the hard work of our chair and staff. We want to work to tighten the language. That is not the intent. That wasn't the original intent of my bill. I want it to be focused on the student.
And I get that that's not your intent. I understand that. But problem is, after this, if this goes through and it gets passed, someone's going to interpret it and say this is what it applies to. And so, is there anybody that could maybe speak legally? Is this going to provide a cause of action against a university if they decide, hey, we're only going to employ professors who share our faith, for example?
We are going to work out those technical amendments, and I can have my staff send you over the language once we finalize that. Again, we completely moved this entire bill in the last, say, 3 days, and so there's things that need to be tightened up, but we can assure you that before it moves out of appropriations, should it move out of appropriations, that language is in there.
And our committee helped draft the language. I appreciate the Senator working with us on it to try and move this to be as protective of the students as possible, so we're aware of some of the issues that have been brought up, ACLU and others, and the committee will be staying a part of the conversation as well and making sure that we get the issues addressed as the bill moves through the rest of the way through the House.
Right, and I would say, just to end on that point, I have a couple other questions, but is it, it's also about employment also, and is there an issue there? I know we're focused on the students, but does the government code affect these issues of employment? And I think we got to delve into that. The other issue here is, under this bill, where are the boundary lines set? It seems like we're saying that, when it comes to chapel on campus, when it comes to education that is purely about educating ministers, seminaries, for example, those kind of things are going to continue to be exempt.
Correct.
But then there's going to be these gray areas, and I think that's what concerns me is, so let's say you get to the professor again. A professor in class discusses the university's theological view of gender or homosexuality, and a student feels that feels discriminated against by that teaching. Does this give a right for that student to then go and sue the university
in that case?
No, absolutely not. We want to maintain curriculum and academic freedom. I feel that's important. And this is why I think the notification is very important to the student before they enroll. So they understand the type of institution that they are enrolling in. And so my goal, and we've never included curriculum in here, the preservation of academic freedom, I think, is very essential to me. And I wouldn't want government intervention in that whatsoever.
Okay. And then how about, like, in the case of a professor, the employment situation where a professor might be fired or not hired because he or she states their rejection of the university's position on their theological view on gender, right, homosexuality? Right. Again, our focus on the student, and we're going to work on tightening the language. Okay. And then how about, like, for student-sponsored groups, you know, that, and meetings on campus? I think that was an issue brought up also. So under this language, if, say, the university says we won't sponsor a group that's not consistent with our theological views or allow that group to meet on campus property, would that provide a private right of action for that group to then sue the university? This is where I think we're going to disagree. I think that we want to preserve the right for the students to be able to organize themselves in a manner that they choose to, and I want to protect that by all costs. Again, focusing on the student. Every university, in my opinion, should allow for a safe place for all their students when they are accepted.